Many people call quiet quitting or lying flat an act of escape. But let me ask you, is sitting on a desk for 12 hours a day, burning your youth, just hoping for retirement, isn't that a bigger escape? Whether we are burning out or hustling endlessly, both waste our time and life. We live in an era of unprecedented productivity where AI can write poetry and code in seconds. So why do we feel busier, more exhausted, and more trapped than ever before? In reality, hustle culture and quiet quit are just two sides of the same coin. If the system's promise no longer work, how do we build our own safe space? Today's video is more reflective and relaxed. I want to first share the dilemma I've observed. In the second part, I will talk about my own tips of meaningful work and life balance I'm actively practicing. I will start with a quick story of my growing up, but I guess you live a version of it too. From my parents' generation, hard work yielded predictable, tangible returns. A young person from a rural village could study hard, pass the national exams, get a degree, and generally get a decent, stable job, alter the trajectory of their family life. That was a historical reality, not fantasy. And so they passed down that grand narrative to us. Work hard, endure bitterness, and you will succeed. The problem is, we inherited an old blueprint for today's economy. Today, we see people with good degrees being unemployed, burnt out, or delivering food on electric scooters, right? The social promise didn't just bend, it broke. That made me think about the performative productivity in companies. In the past, working hard meant real rewards. Today, hustle culture is often just a show. It's a performance of business disguised as hard work. Company love words like agility, fast-paced, multitask, high performance, but so much of this frantic energy just cover up management failure and corporate error. Anthropologist David Graeber famously coined the term bullshit jobs, roles that exist primarily as royalty tasks or bureaucratic fluff rather than creating real human value. And this isn't isolated to one country. Across the globe, Japanese notorious karoshi literally means death from overwork, and South Korea's hyper-competitive conglomerate system. The Western obsession with hustle culture now collapsing into quiet quitting movement. Young people worldwide are realizing the same thing. The machine asks for everything, but gives back less and less. Literature also warned us about this long ago. You may already know Willie Loman in Death of a Salesman, the man who gave everything for the American dream, only to get nothing back. Or the Joad family in The Grapes of Wrath, who lost everything simply by working hard in a system rigged against them. In Chinese literature, two classic characters recently went viral among young people. Xiangzi from Rickshaw Boy, a strong, honest, ridiculously hardworking young worker. He believed hard labor could bring a better life, but only to be crushed by tragedy. At the end of this book, he sold all his property for paying for his wife's funeral. And another one is Kong Yiji by Lu Xun, an educated man who couldn't find a place in society, trapped by his long scholar scorn, Kong Yiji的长衫, which is a metaphor for useless degree. He was ashamed to do low-end manual labor, yet unable to survive. A sarcastic part is he even defended stealing books by saying, stealing books isn't stealing, it's a pursuit of knowledge.
你怎么这样？凭空误人清白呢？
什么清白？我前天亲眼见你偷了何家的书，吊着打的。啊，这还有什么可说的？有什么可说的？
窃书不能算偷。窃书。读书人的事，能算作偷吗？君子固穷，小人穷，斯滥矣。
When I read these stories in school, they were just exact topics. Today, they feel like mirrors, a literary boomerang hitting us right in the face. So, where does this leave us? Is the choice really just between grinding ourselves to dust or giving up entirely? The real problem with hustle culture isn't hard work itself, it's the inefficiency embedded within it. The brutal truth is that this very inefficiency is what keeps the system stable and running, where everyone is busy without too much time to reflect or debate. Though it is hard to change the system, simply seeing it for what it is becomes the biggest progress itself. Instead of hustle or quiet quitting, we can reflect our energy toward what truly matters, rejecting performative business and rejecting the idea of bind our personal worth to an external institution. The real question isn't whether to work hard or not. The real question is who and what we are working for. Let me share some frameworks I'm practicing in my own life. The first one I want to talk about is build portfolio career using barbell strategy. Instead of putting 100 of your identity, safety, and livelihood into one basket, like a single corporate title, you can build barbell strategy. In finance, barbell strategy means playing it extremely safe on one end while taking high upside risks on the other, completely avoiding the vulnerable middle ground. On the one side of the barbell, you have stability. For me, that's my freelancing work, doing localization, finance, teaching, and translation. It might not make me big chunk, but it pays for the rent, buy groceries, and give me full ownership of my schedule. It's my financial anchor. On the other side of the barbell, you have creative, high upside pursuit. That's where this YouTube channel and my personal brand come in. It's my space to experiment, building my own intellectual capital, and connect with people like you around the world without the permission of a boss. When you live like this, your mental health completely changes. If a client project ends, you won't panic because you have other income streams. Furthermore, we get time and opportunity to build our own identity. Framework number 2 is essentialism. Find our personal sufficient. In modern society, many of our anxiety doesn't actually come from a lack of food or shelter. It comes from a deficit of internal meaning. When we lack a clear and inner compass, society steps in and define our goals for us. We start buying things we don't need, with money we don't have, just to impress people we don't even like. I used to catch myself scrolling through social media, seeing peers getting promotions, buy luxury items, and move into fancy apartments, and feeling this sudden, unexplainable panic, like am I falling behind? That was my wake-up call, and practice essentialism, defining what is sufficient for my own life, not anyone else. I asked myself, how much money do I actually need to feel safe, happy, and creative? Once you calculate your personal baseline, I realized you don't need $1 million, a fancy restaurant, or a lot of people loving you to live a great life. The consumerist trap instantly loses its power over you. You stop hustling for status and start working for freedom. Number 3, I followed some philosophical anchors. To survive the turbulence of this era, I rely heavily on these 2 philosophical anchors, Western Stoicism and Eastern Daoism. Stoicism is basically my mental armor. Marcus Aurelius reminded us to divide the world into 2 categories, things you can control and things you can't. For example, I cannot control the algorithms, the global economy, or client delays. So why waste my emotional energy stressing over them? Why not focus 100% of our energy strictly on our own actions, words, and mindset? And if I still feel the tempt to force things, obsess with quick results, I turn to Daoism and the concept of Wu Wei. Wu Wei doesn't mean lying on the couch doing nothing. It means effortless action. Learning to move with the natural flow instead of fighting against the current. In my own work, if a creative idea feels forced, or I'm grinding out of sheer desperation and toxic urgency, I stop. I take a walk and let things mature naturally. We couldn't make a plant grow faster by pulling its roots. We just give it good soil, water, and time. My 4th framework. Instead of worrying far future, I choose more grounded actions and tangible creations. Every time we open the news, there are big, terrifying narratives, mass layoffs, AI taking everyone's job, economic downturns, global uncertainty, blah, blah, blah. It's easy to feel utterly powerless. My personal solution to this existential dread is simple. Go small, go concrete, and use our hands. Whenever I feel overwhelmed by this abstract anxiety, I intentionally pull my focus back to my immediate physical reality. I cook a good meal, clean my desk, or reach to our friends around me. I sit down to work on my real portfolio, or a script of video sentence by sentence, or read some good book. There is immense healing in tangible creation when you make something real, whether it's a tidy room, a home-cooked meal, an article write, a well-taught lesson, or a piece of video. Our brains instantly shift from paralysis to agency. That remind ourselves the world outside might be noisy and chaotic, but right here, in our immediate cycle, we are in control. Okay, last word. Don't let the system's definition of efficiency kill your human spark. Well, I made this video to organize my own thoughts, but I hope it gives you a bit of shelter and clarity today. You don't have to surrender your autonomy to the noise outside. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments. How are you navigating this balance in your own life? Let's talk below. Until next time, take care of yourself.